wanted to share with you a monologue that I wrote from my play Half-Packed Boxes. This monologue is titled Full Stop, the part that agreed I had to disappear. I used to know who I was. Not all of me, not perfectly, but I knew the shape of myself. Theatrical, passionate, sometimes too loud, curious. The kind of person who asked too many questions and laughed a little too hard at her own jokes. I filled a room. I took up space. Then I met her. Emily. At first it was just judo and sports karate. Then it was a seizure disorder diagnosis. Starbucks chats, memes, validation. I had a crush, sure, but that fizzled fast. It's not what this was. It was admiration. God, she knew who she was. That's what I envied the most. She didn't perform for anyone. She just was. And that was enough. God, I remember how she made silence feel like power. How she moved through the world like she didn't owe anyone anything. I admired that. I wanted to be that. Then our friendship began cracking. She told me she requires low maintenance friends. I decided I had to become that to be worthy of her. So I shrank. I started watching everything I said, editing before I spoke. I practiced being smaller, quieter, less emotional. I stopped sharing the bright parts of myself because I thought they were too much. I didn't talk unless I was spoken to. I waited for her to lead. I made myself low maintenance, like she asked. Invisible, blending into the background. She read books that weren't the typical fantasy or sapphic romances I read. So I stopped reading those. She liked nonfiction, so I started reading nonfiction too. I hate nonfiction. She said she hated people, so I bought the shirts, literally. I hate people tees in every color, just to make her laugh, just to feel seen. She told me she was a textbook INFJ, introverted to the max. I knew as an INFJ before when I took the Myers-Briggs personality test at university, but I didn't know what it meant outside of what each letter represented. Introverted, intuitive, feeling, judging. So I did what every actress does. I researched. I leaned in. I played the part. I told myself, this is growth. This is maturity, adaptability, self-awareness. But it wasn't. It was erasure. I told her how I never felt like I was enough. She said she could show me how to unlearn that. She said step 4 from Alcoholics Anonymous, doing a moral inventory of yourself, had helped her the most. She read out the format she used and how it helped. So I began. Then came the rules. I don't hang out. So I stopped asking. I like it when people leave me alone. So I tried. It was hard. It was hard because I liked learning from her. I liked talking to her. But I could tell that this was some test of hers. I felt the pressure, literally. No cracks, no mistakes, no breaks, no pressure. Then she ended our friendship. She said I couldn't follow her boundaries, but the boundaries were never clear. They shifted like shadows. Don't message me unless it's about step 4. Leave me alone unless I talk to you first. But even that wasn't safe. I'd stay silent for weeks, send her ask one question, and still be told I crossed a line. There was always a loophole I hadn't seen, always a new rule I hadn't learned yet. God, I tried so hard to be careful. I studied her like scripture, memorized her preferences like commandments. But none of it mattered, because the test was rigged, and I was already wrong. This grief has a gravity and pulls me down. That song played on a loop in my head, the next right thing from Frozen 2. But I couldn't tell what the next right thing was. I just knew I'd lost her, and somehow it was always my fault. Then the dojo reopened after the Christmas holiday. I was at Starbucks doing schoolwork, as one does, and as I walked toward the entrance, I looked down at my iPad, trying to shrink, hoping she wouldn't notice me. But she did. Of course. She lightly tapped my shoulder as she walked past me. She said hi, asked me how my holiday was. I was shocked she spoke to me. I thought the only words I'd ever hear were teacher to student. For a second I thought maybe I hadn't messed it up. But I was wrong. Every boundary was a riddle, every conversation a negotiation. She was silently judging me. We had a particularly hard conversation one day at Starbucks. I wanted her to send me an article she had written. She said I could message her a reminder, so I did. She blew up at me. She said I didn't respect her boundaries, that I couldn't possibly, that I was the reason we weren't friends. Don't say hi unless I say it first. Don't speak to me at Starbucks, or at the dojo, or anywhere. Full stop. And then weeks later, she left for a trip abroad. We weren't speaking. She said I wasn't reliable enough to help cover classes. I helped anyways. I worked hard, quietly, consistently. I poured myself into it. I taught myself the 3 universal katas, worked on them with my teammates. I didn't do it for them, not even for me. I did it to prove her wrong, and for a moment I did. I was doing an ab workout inside while my teammates ran laps outside. She told me she'd heard I'd been a good coach. She didn't say she was proud of me, but I could hear it in her tone. I still remember that moment. It felt like sunlight. It felt like I was worthy, but the foundation beneath me was still cracking. We started messaging again. I was asking for advice based on an audio message she sent me the year before. I wanted clarification. She told me she didn't want any conversation with me. She said I could ask a few questions a month, but never said how many. I didn't know I was being judged every time I had sent. I didn't know I had to negotiate my presence. I didn't know every boundary was a riddle I'd already failed. I didn't realize I was starting to burn out. Not when my grades started falling, not when my body started failing me too. Convulsive seizures every week, 10-minute absence seizures, another seizure diagnosis, this one non-epileptic, triggered by stress and trauma. Still, I kept going back to that dojo, even when I flinched seeing her car at the Starbucks car park, even when I shook in the restroom, because I loved what I was learning, and I didn't want her to ruin that too. I didn't know I was burnt out until I had nothing left. Then one day, she was gone. The friendship was over. Full stop. She called me a stalker, threatened a restraining order, and the worst part, I almost believed her. I folded in on myself completely. I accepted that I was the villain, that my honesty and my explanations were proof that I was unstable, that I was wrong. But no, what I was broken. Maybe 90% of the damage was from her, but it's the 10% that came from me. The part that agreed I had to disappear, that still hurts the most. That's when I saw it. I'd been playing a character. And when the friendship ended, I didn't know how to step out of it. I convinced myself that this is growth. But it wasn't. It was erasure. Hi guys! Today I wanted to share with you guys the second monologue that follows right after full stop, the part that agreed I had to disappear. This would be like part 2 to that. Originally it was just one giant monologue, but the entirety of both is like 15 minutes, and so I broken it up. So the previous one ends Act 1, and this is the beginning of Act 2. This one's titled, I'm Still Healing. I used to be me. Before Emily, the shrinking, before I edited every version of myself just to fit. And now I'm trying to remember who I was, trying to write over the damage, trying to breathe life back into the version of me that danced in her kitchen, made wildly inappropriate puns, and didn't need permission to feel. I'm starting the unbecoming, picking up the shards. Letting myself be messy again, loud again, full again. I'm reclaiming the parts of me that danced when no one was watching, the parts that over-explained, the parts that asked too many questions just to make people feel seen. Because I can't go back. Even if the future looks like her, my higher self. Even if becoming her means strength, clarity, and surviving things I haven't yet lived. Because sometimes I wonder, what if I choose the wrong version of me again? What if in becoming her, I lose Selene all over again? I can't survive that twice. So if I go forward, if I become someone new, I'm taking me with me. The loud, the theatrical, the curious, the too muchness, the whole mess. I'm still healing, but I'm healed enough to know who I am is worth holding on to.